The first thing to do is select the rectangle tool and then drop a rectangle on the page by clicking. Another way to do this is to click and drag to determine the size. In this instance, you can make any proportion of rectangle, or Illustrator will show you when you are creating an equal square by showing a diagonal line from corner to corner. The program will also show you guidelines when you set other elements in alignment. Alignment is an important harmonizing force in design, sometimes as a very clear connection across a design, and sometimes a subtle grouping of elements. A program like Illustrator is based in designing around simple geometries that might take the artist great care and difficulty to craft in a handmade format. Now that we have some shapes here, we can click on them to select and then go to the border tool to remove their outlines. This is done by selecting the red slash bar nearby and is necessary to be able to combine multiple shapes into one. I can use the select tool, the arrow at the top of the menu, to click and drag across all of the shapes now as a group. And you'll see they're still there. I can move around or reproportion that set by clicking and dragging. So now we can select the shape fill next to borders and pull up the color spectrum. If I click on a color in that spectrum field, the color fills that shape group that remains selected. In the menu on the left, you'll see that some icons have a little arrow in the lower right. If you hold down one of those, a larger menu comes up. Here, Rectangle tool contains various other geometric shapes we can apply or combine. As we saw earlier, the Illustrator tool will give guidance of significant alignments or equalized proportions when hovering the cursor or moving shapes. Illustrator also will remember and duplicate whatever shape you last used simply by clicking with that tool still selected. Geometry, in a sense, is pure abstract form, and the clean digital space is a good place to explore these particular relations and hierarchies of form. So as we go to various tools here to give you a sense of what there is to work with, I'm in a moment going to click on the Erase tool. And here I'm going to use the Erase tool to modify the shapes further through subtraction, through taking away. You'll see that in the factory setting, Illustrator does some of the designing for me, smoothing out and standardizing marks into more regular curves. I'm not overthinking this, and I can always go back and undo any stage I'm unhappy with. So some of the kinds of ideas of kind of trial and error that you've been doing with it applies here as well. And you know, these few tools that are introduced specifically here, you can kind of test the waters, but allow you to sort of try any of these things to get where the project leads you here. So I can also select something and then go to copy in the drop-down menu and then alter and combine that element. The ability to create a motif and then make variations on the motif is a great strength of digital tools. Let's start a new pattern set, going back to the square we began with, making a new square, using copy and paste, zooming in. You'll see this video speed up in a few places to cut back on the dead air time, but the total time lapse of this demonstration was 16 minutes. So besides the qualities of replication and geometric organization, another feature of designing with vectors is they can be reformatted at any scale without losing any degree of detail, making them really good for logos or for other translatable visual information. Here I'm just designing a new figure and changing the scale and character of the tool using the pop-up box. Now that I have a figure and a ground here, I can put them together. Play around some more, making a triangle with the polygon tool found in the rectangle tab. Play is good. So now let's play with the mesh tool. It sets a kind of flexible grid over an object depending on where you place its coordinates. To use it properly, you'd need to read the manual and practice, but to introduce some chance into the systematic options so far presented, you just need to point and click. If it torques the shape in a way you don't like, then you can just undo it. Now, combining this, maybe we have an interesting, so let's try it out. Pull up the Swatches tab at the right and drag and drop your design into the menu. Then you can zoom back out and make space if you need to create a large rectangular field. Once that's been done, all you have to do is to click on the new swatch within that menu, and that will apply the pattern. Now, if the pattern isn't satisfying, click to bring up a menu with different pattern options and change the pacing, the scaling, or the arrangement of it. Okay, and once that's nice enough, you save it and then clear off the space, move some things around. Let's try to dig up that first design that we made. Go back through, reverse course a little bit. Let's make a pattern with that first design. Again, same process as before, but this time, once we've established this pattern, let's play with the pen tool. This pen tool, again, is something that's got a complexity we're not going to parse out here. You can click, drag, and move things, letting the system's guiding coordinates give you some outcomes. You be the editor, doing and undoing in a trial and error process. getting a feel for the tool as the design evolves. The rest of what I'm doing here is just reusing tools already introduced to combine these two types of pattern, one more closed and one more open, and turning those into an asymmetrical design. When that's done, save it, and then you're prepared to try again.